identify with the parts of life that light you up the most. And for me, it was creativity. If that's taken away from me, that's a big deal. You know, self-love. If I'm missing self-love and I'm always abandoning myself and I'm betraying myself and selling myself out, that's a big thing to miss out on. You know, focus. I love my times of focus. I love feeling like I'm on a mission in this world. If that's taken away from me, I'm out, you know, especially in relationships. If that's not there, if I'm not to have that space and I'm engulfed and it's not understood or respected, I lose interest, you know? So just getting really clear on how you're showing up. And that's the thing is, when you know more about who you are, you know more about how to pull the best out of you to share it with the world. And that has been my 11 years of journey so far online. Is you think it's online, it's not that. It's me getting to know myself more to share the even better parts of myself with you.
Let's talk about how it's morphed too, Joel, now, because there's a lot of people that want to build businesses that are motivational, that attract people to them. Let's talk about positioning and how, whether they're in network marketing, whether they're building an online business, whether they're in a coaching business, how do they attract people to them where instead of chasing everybody, people are actually viewing their content, wanting to be a part of their movement, wanting to really ask them, hey, what can I do to be a part of what you do? Because you've done a great job. If you have The Rock and Diddy, I was sharing your guys' content for a long time because I was like, ooh, this article is different, right? So you were making people want to share by just doing great work. What are some things that we can kind of teach our audience and teach the game changers on how we can just position them so they don't have to chase people all day long?
Yeah. Well, we understood our audience pretty early on. You know, we polled our audience. You can do all sorts of surveys and just engaging with them on social media. We engaged a lot with our audience. And so once you work out, or at least get a general gist of what are the maybe top 3 or 4 subjects or topics that your audience resonates with the most, now you get to carve it out and have fun with it. For me, it was always like, I had a passion to create content. I love creating things. You know, I'm a visionary, I'm a creator. I just love that. And so I would often challenge my own self. I challenge my team. And I think that people can pick up on whether or not you're actually speaking from your wisdom or if it's just copy paste. And for whatever reason, I knew that early on. And I felt like, you know what? There's certain things that I read that are profound that I'm like, wow, this is something new and this is something different. And they were the things that actually I continue to carry on. If it was the same stuff, I wouldn't remember where I got it from, where the source was. So I would often encourage writers that would write for Addicted to Success. I'd often encourage people that I'd interviewed to come from a different angle. You know, there'd be this like challenging and this encouraging of, I know that there's something here. And so I invited people into the space to be a part of that. And it got to a point where Addicted to Success became pretty much self-sufficient. You know, we had people generating the content for us. We still do to this day. We have hundreds of emails coming through with articles. And the key is focus on one thing at a time. You know, I'm a big believer in all roads lead to Rome. And our Rome was addictedtosuccess.com, the website. You know, with the website, that was the things where I was able to create this hub spot where people would go to that hub spot, and then we could branch subsidiaries off that. The subsidiaries that came into play were the YouTube channel. Like, I didn't want to be a YouTube vlogger. It was just that I wanted to bring more value to my audience. I was like, cool, well, how do we do that? Get on video and interview these people and create exclusive content. And so we did that, and then I extracted the audio from the video. I remember, Peter, I interviewed you quite a while back. Our first time was like 6 years ago. I was trying to find the video on on YouTube. I couldn't find it. And also the Santa Barbara one where we were all hanging out together in the mountains. And it's so funny, man. It's so humbling. I went back and looked at some of the older stuff, and I was just like, damn, I'm so grateful for the journey. And, you know, with that, I think that it's documenting that along the way. It's sharing what the journey is along the way, and just being unapologetic in your approach to how you learn and how you bring value into the world. I think a lot of people are shy, man. They're scared. They have fear of rejection. They don't want to put themselves out there because they could be judged, and it reinforces that bullshit limiting story they have of I'm not good enough. So I think I understood the fact that in order to create big and great things, you've got to overcome yourself first. And so I almost saw my content creation as this kind of like a training ground to be able to overcome even me, because every time that I write an article, every time I interview someone, I'd learn a bit more. I would like pour something out of myself that I hadn't written before or noticed about myself before. I created this self-awareness, and so did a lot of people that were working with us and collaborating. They also did that too. So, and I just kept it in that grounded humility as well, and that authenticity along the way, and share with people, look, I'm like you guys. Like, I dropped out of high school. Man, I got severely bullied in high school, and I dropped out at 16 years old. I didn't finish high school. And then I went on to be offered multi-millions of dollars for the sale of my website. I got offered to speak on stages with huge people that I used to grow up reading their books, So if you told me 11 years ago that I'd be living the life that I do now, I would have called BS on it, because it was just like sounded so wild. But now it's like the new norm, So that's a cool thing to know, is when you got your vision and you realize as you're moving through that vision, as it's unfolding, you're seeing that more and more of it become real. And that was a huge turning point for me when I started to achieve the first few things of my vision. I remember writing down that I was going to work with Gary Vaynerchuk. And literally 2 years later, I'm sitting there in the Vaynermedia offices hanging out with Gary, and then I, I'm invited to be in a movie with Tony Robbins. I'm like, wow, I grew up off this dude. And then I get asked to interview Les Brown, and we're hanging out. Then he starts mentoring me after. And I'm just like, what's going on in my life? Like, and every now and then I need to pinch myself. But everyone else around me was so real. I've got a few Aussie friends, and they're just like so real, man, that they don't care about accolades or anything. They're just always they just want me. And they encouraged me the whole time to just share who I was. And that was a huge thing. I've been grounded quite a few times from my closest friends. And that's a really important thing along the way, is to be grounded by good people that encourage you and support you and lift you up.
So how you talk, I think a lesson I've learned too, and especially people watching that have businesses online or are trying to attract more people, how you talk about and view your business is huge, right? How you talked about Addicted to Success, how you made it exclusive, how you didn't just let anybody write for it is a lesson in itself. I think people should treat their business that way, where instead of trying to attract everybody, it's like, no. If you want to be a part of this movement, there's some things that we have to discuss first, because people here are trying to change the game. Right? So I like how you talk about your business is huge. I see people just say, yeah, I have a coaching business. I have this. You were making it exclusive. You also talked about one main business and then focus fully on that. And then you can have subsidiaries and branch off that. I think that's huge as well. So people, whether they're in network marketing or indirect sales, it's like they have to have a couple things that they really promote that their audience, I guess, is attracted to, whether it's no 9 to 5, whether it's achieving autonomy, financial freedom, living. For me, I know people want to live life on their terms. And I know most people aren't. I know most people are taking what's given, and they're not creating or designing their ideal lifestyle. So I hit on that so hard, Joel, and people are attracted to it because they see the importance of having freedom. And they see me, I have to embody that by living a life on my terms and actually traveling the world and doing it freely, and hang out with people like you that also have a truly free lifestyle. So how you view your business, guys, is huge. And not just how you view it, how you talk about your business to other people. So let's dive into content real quick too, Joel, because I think in 2020 and beyond, if you're not creating content or you're not going online in some aspect, I think it's partly game over. I mean, it's kind of scary. Like, I think it's adapt or die. And with a lot of businesses being shut down, there's another lockdown in the United States right now where they're telling businesses, hey, you can't operate. No one can go in your business, but make sure you pay the bills, right? It's still happening. And people are going to be forced to go online. And in the next year, there's going to be millions and millions and millions of people going online, trying to create content. I want to give our people a competitive advantage on how to rise above the noise. So what are some ideas? Content creation. What's some of your top content you've created in terms of like documentary style, a checklist, these 3 tips? What are some powerful headlines? Let's talk about let's just have a conversation about different types of content and what people should be thinking about online.
For sure. And so why I answer this would be awesome to just see from everyone that's in here in the Zoom room to just drop in the chat. What space are you in? Like, what's your industry? Are you a speaker? Are you a coach? Are you an author? Are you in network marketing? What is it for you? Because that way I can tailor the conversation in your direction. So, okay, network marketing. Awesome. Well, this is good. I see it coming through. Coach as well. Podcast, network marketing. Yep. You know, the thing is, Peter, and you know, you've been in the game long enough as well to see this, is that if you have money, you can pay for verification. You know, if you have money, you can pay for features in Forbes and everywhere else. It's almost like it's losing its value. You know, when you hear people say New York Times bestseller, it's like, what does that mean anymore? People are buying like 20,000 copies of their books back and have pallets sitting in their driveway. So a lot of the status driven things are just they're not exciting, man. I'm not interested in them. I think there are a lot of people online that are focused on being big, which is tons of followers, lots of likes. How many comments do I get? They're not focused on being great. Being great is getting people results. You know, I'm in the results business. That's it, man. If I'm not in the results business, my business suffers. And the people around me don't get the best out of me. You know, there's no impact. And so, you know, we use a lot of words like impact and abundance and all these things, but truly, if you're not actually doing something to be a part of the greater goings on in life, whether the world sees it or not, deep down inside, you know that you're not living a fulfilled life. You just know it. You just know that you're missing something. And so I think a lot of people are getting it ass backwards. You know, they're going for the status. They're going for the fancy things. They're showing off Ferraris. And dude, I outgrew that many years ago. Many years ago. It doesn't work, you know? So yeah, you got your Tesla. I've got my little Honda scooter in Bali that I, you know, bounce around the, you know, the rice fields and everywhere else that I want to be on this little scooter. It cost me $90 a month to rent the scooter, and it's $5 in petrol a week, you know, and dude, I would take that over a Lamborghini any day. And I'm saying that in not in a kind of like a cheeky sense for you, but it's more like what it brings to my life on a consistent basis is freedom and fun. Like, I just love riding through the wind, just like feeling that it feels like freedom, you know, weaving in and out of traffic and doing whatever I want to do in this, you know, Bali's a little bit kind of like organized chaos, but it's a cool flow, you know, and I would never want to have anything more than that in that space. That's just one area of life, right? And so I think that a lot of people are chasing a lot of the things they think that are going to fulfill them because they're avoiding doing the work within themselves. And so the more that I did the work within myself, the more I realized I didn't need so much out here. You know, and a lot of people hear this, they hear it all the time. You know, it's about the internal, not the external, these things. It's like, you can keep hearing it, but to live it is a different experience, which is why it's going to require from you to go in and looking at the parts of yourself of like, what have I been fusing with for so long? Like, the significance used to feed me. You know, the accolades used to feed me. The money used to feed me. These things don't feed me anymore. You know, in certain ways they're required, but they don't feed me. It's like my life isn't over if I don't have certain things. It's just cool. I like creating things, you know, and I think this is what it is for everyone here. I see, you know, network marketing, financial education, coaching, digital marketing. It's awesome. You guys are creators. Whether you like it or not, you're creating content, you're creating connections, right? You're creating elements within your business and expanding. And identify with this, identify with the parts of life that light you up the most. And for me, it was creativity. If that's taken away from me, that's a big deal. You know, self-love. If I'm missing self-love and I'm always abandoning myself and I'm betraying myself and selling myself out, that's a big thing to miss out on. You know, Focus. I love my times of focus. I love feeling like I'm on a mission in this world. If that's taken away from me, I'm out, especially in relationships. If that's not there, if I'm not to have that space and I'm engulfed and it's not understood or respected, I lose interest, So just getting really clear on how you're showing up. And that's the thing is, when you know more about who you are, you know more about how to pull the best out of you to share it with the world. And that has been my 11 years of journey so far online. Is you think it's online, it's not that. It's me getting to know myself more to share the even better parts of myself with you.
So really, it's once you discover who you are and go on a journey of self-discovery, does the content almost reveal itself? Like, because there's been times with me, Joel, even the last couple months, I'm like, I have to share this, and I get my video out. It's not like, let me think of it. For me, it used to be, it's interesting because we've been on a similar journey. It used to be, okay, what can I share that is going to be super engaging, that people are going to relate to? And now I'm just like, what can I share that feels right, that I feel is something inside me that I need to get out? It's a whole different shift. And is that what you're saying, is when people understand themselves, they know what to share?
Yeah. Well, look, it's inspiration, not motivation. There's a difference between inspiration and motivation, right? And there's also a difference between overcompensationary success and aligned success. For so many years, I was trying to prove to everybody that I wasn't the guy that got beaten back when I was in high school and was a dropout. Like, it was always just this like, I've achieved this, I've overcome this, I'll prove you wrong. And it's exhausting. Remember I talked about the map of consciousness, and I can bring it up on here too, because I think it'll be actually really, really powerful for you guys to be able to even, see this, because I refer to this quite often, and I refer to it quite often because it's a good reminder of what level I'm playing at in my life. So we can pull this up here. I'll flick it over. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Cool. So see here, as you see from pride, below pride, pretty much 175 frequency. Just remember, the world on average is at 209. So a lot of people are operating just pretty much from courage, trying to get into neutrality. And what's happening right now in the US, man, I know you're out there in certain states and in certain, with this whole like divide that's happening at the moment, there's a lot of people coming from the lower brackets, and we can feel it, right? It's a real thing. I believe God is above all, that's the goal. And that's why, I'm such in a spiritual practice and keep God first. That brings me up into higher levels. When I went in and did the forgiveness work, forgiveness to my mother and my father, and forgiveness to, my ex-partners, and even forgave myself, which is one of the most important areas to forgive. I brought myself into acceptance and started to create more harmony in my life. And when you create from that place, it's really freaking powerful. That's power up there. Force is in the lower brackets. So you can still achieve success, Peter, at desire, anger, pride, and courage. You see a lot of these guys that we know in the space that, big accolades, but they're forcing themselves all the way there to get there. It's like that game gets exhausting. So as I've worked more within myself, and I know it because I work with my students, and I see them just come alive. I see them when these kind of like layers that drop off them, they do the inner child work and realize they've been neglecting their inner self, and they're still holding on to stories from the past that now they get to face. And I've seen them do the shadow work, just realize that they're not all perfect and they're not all prim and proper, that they actually get to screw up sometimes and they get to make mistakes. And then they let go, they kind of integrate this shadow. They realize they are dark and light because we live in a world of duality. Man, it's such a powerful space to operate from. This is where your true power is, because you start showing up on camera, you start writing in your content, you start negotiating with people and building your business and collabing with your team in a way where it's no longer coming from, I need something from you. Mm-hmm. It's coming from, what is it that I get to really do each day to give the best version of myself to the world, but also feel lit up from within because I'm doing that for me too. There's a huge difference. I want everyone on this call here to experience it. And it starts with working in the levels of forgiveness and optimism, understanding, like all that's going to bring you up like this out of those lower brackets.
Hey, what's up? And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy this video and this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, put the notifications on, and I assure you, you'll love this content and these videos.